Brought to you by Penguin.
Hard Stuff, Easy Life. 7 Mindset Principles for Success, Strength and Happiness. Written and read by me, 𝐂𝐚𝐬𝐲. The Hard Stuff, Easy Life Principles. Principle 1. Happiness is an inside job. You might have heard the song, "Don't Worry, Be Happy." Well, this principle goes one step further. Happiness is not something that just comes to you or a destination that you arrive at. It's a feeling you can choose to have no matter what's happening around you. Principle 2. Make peace with your past. We all have things in our past that we're not proud of. But dwelling on past mistakes only robs you of your current joy and future success. I've realized this from my mistakes in business and relationships too. Holding on to a negative past makes focusing on a positive future impossible. Principle 3. Love yourself. Self-love isn't about narcissism or selfishness. It's about acknowledging your worth and value as a human being. Your opinion of yourself should not be entirely reliant on external validation. I learned from my own experiences that loving yourself comes first, and it helps you to love others better. Principle 4. No one cares. One of the biggest barriers that holds us back from pursuing goals and overcoming challenges is the fear of judgment or ridicule. We imagine all eyes are focused on us, harshly evaluating our every move. This illusion of being under society's merciless microscope fuels self-doubt and anxiety. How often do you pay close attention to strangers around you? Probably almost never. Their actions or choices, even embarrassments, barely register in your consciousness. The same is true in reverse. Principle 5. Don't allow feelings to affect your future. Feelings come and go, but your actions can affect you for a long time. It's essential to act based on what you want to achieve, not just how you feel at the moment. In my life, there have been many days where I didn't want to wake up early and do what needed to be done. But doing it anyway helped me deal with future challenges and made them easier to deal with too. Principle 6. Be present. With limitless distractions at the touch of a button in our pockets, it's easy to miss out on the here and now. Paying full attention to the current moment makes life better and more enjoyable. Just like when our phones are playing up and we need to turn them off to work well again, sometimes we need to switch off our phones and focus on what's in front of us to feel better. Principle 7. Hard stuff, easy life. Easy stuff, hard life. This principle is the cornerstone of the book. I've learned that doing the hard stuff, whether it's grueling physical tasks, challenging emotional work, or hard strategic thinking, makes the rest of life fall into place more smoothly. On the other hand, always choosing the easy stuff can make your life more complicated and challenging. Introduction. The problem is in your head. Life is full of challenges and problems. It's very easy to pinpoint multiple things responsible for our successes and failures. Economic downturns, demanding bosses, and social media. If you can name it, we've probably blamed it. It can sometimes feel that the world is conspiring against us, and we can do nothing but try our best to avoid the hard stuff life throws at us. But what if I told you that's all an illusion? The truth is, what's inside our head daily, our thoughts, our emotions, and our beliefs, dictate how we absorb and respond to all these external events. It's not that these outside influences don't exist or aren't challenging, but they don't have to define us or our capacity for happiness and success. Our mind is like a lens through which we see the world. If it's clouded with negativity, we see challenges as threats rather than what we really should see them as, and that's opportunities for growth. My mission with this book is to share a series of principles that help you understand that many of life's difficulties start with a simple shift inside your head. You are not just some passive spectator sitting on the sidelines of success. but an active participant in your own life, and it's about time you took control of the narrative. Something we often fall into in life is seeing ourselves as passive recipients of difficulties. We believe that life's challenges are happening to us rather than being opportunities for growth. In this book, through each principle, I will show you that you hold the power to change your perspective on challenges and reshape your life in a positive way. It's your mental outlook that dictates your physical actions, and it's your physical actions that dictate your life. This is why the journey to a successful, strong, and happy life starts not in the gym or your job, but in your thoughts. In the words of Viktor E. Frankl, when a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. My way of thinking wasn't always like this. As a teenager, I was unfocused, distracted, and had zero direction. Because of this, I was drinking heavily, getting into trouble, and I realized after failing college that there were only two paths for me to take: continue distracting myself with pleasure and end up in prison, or make a drastic shift in my life and join the army. It was not an easy decision, but in October 2003, I boarded a train sick with warrior nerves to start day one of basic training. During those 7 years of British Army service, I was compelled to confront my weaknesses and limitations. There was no room for excuses, only room for growth. And so, from a reluctant, aimless teenager, I slowly morphed into a disciplined, focused individual. The Army gave me 5 tools I've continued to carry through my life. Discipline. Army life is highly structured, with rules dictating everything you do from when you wake up to when you go to sleep. This regimented environment instilled a strong sense of discipline in me and got me to understand the word's true meaning. Doing things regardless of how you feel, because life becomes easier when you do the hard stuff. Teamwork and camaraderie. The Army involves working closely with others, often in challenging and stressful conditions. This instilled a deep sense of teamwork and the ability to cooperate with people from diverse backgrounds and perspectives. I didn't know it at the time, but this taught me social skills, which are fundamental when it comes to living a healthier and happier life. Leadership skills. As a soldier, I was given responsibilities at a young age that required me to lead others. This taught me to make quick decisions, often under pressure, and to take initiative and lead by example. It wasn't until I look back at this that I realized just how important this has been for my growth as a person. Mental and physical toughness. The rigorous training and stressful situations I encountered in the Army taught me resilience and fortitude. Physical fitness, the ability to execute daily activities with optimal performance, endurance, and strength, improves with practice. And mental toughness, learning how to cope with stress, fear, and fatigue, improves with practice too. Sense of purpose and service. Serving in the Army instilled a strong sense of duty and purpose in me, offering me an opportunity to be part of something bigger than myself. This gave me a valuable perspective, taught me the power of community and shared responsibility, and has held me accountable for getting things done. The self-fulfilling prophecy. One of the most potent psychological insights that can transform your life is the understanding that your perception molds your reality. Experts in psychology and neuroscience have always been fascinated by how we understand the world around us. Our perception isn't just about receiving information like a computer taking in data. It's an active process in which we give meaning to what we see, hear, and feel. How we interpret these experiences influences our actions, how we respond to situations, and even how we view ourselves. One theory that explains this is the concept of the self-fulfilling prophecy. Sociologist Robert Merton initially proposed this theory, and he put forward that our beliefs about a situation or person could influence our behavior towards that situation or person, causing us to act in a way that causes those beliefs to come true. Basically, if you think you're going to fail, you're less likely to put in the effort needed to succeed. It's your lack of action that, in turn, causes the very failure you were dreading, which then reinforces your original perception. The power of perception. Dr. Linda Humphreys once said, "Perception molds, shapes, and influences our experience of our personal reality." One story that I love to hear about the power of perception is that of Roger Bannister. He was the first man to break the 4-minute mile, but before he did, experts believed it was impossible, and some said even deadly. It was this perception that held many athletes back from attempting it. They had mentally imposed a barrier on their performance. However, Bannister refused to accept this perception, and he pushed himself beyond this imaginary limit. When he broke the 4-minute barrier in 1954, something incredible happened. More runners started breaking it too. The reality is that the physical attributes of the athletes hadn't changed. It was the perception of what was possible. Back in 2019, I was deep into my training for a Guinness World Record feat that no one had dared attempt before. Box jumping the height of Mount Everest in under 24 hours. This challenge boiled down to jumping onto a 2-foot box 14,516 times, averaging between 13 and 15 jumps per minute. When I finally started the event, a flood of perceptions came into my mind. No one's done this because it's humanly impossible. You've only trained up to 8 hours. How will your body withstand another 16? You'll probably get rhabdomyolysis, breaking down muscle to the point of kidney damage or death. I tuned out the naysaying and pressed on. At the 8-hour mark, everything was still on track. But shortly after, disaster struck. A pulled calf muscle and quadriceps cramps slowed me down dramatically. Panic started setting in. What if they're right? What if my body can't take 16 more agonizing hours of this torture? I needed to shift my thinking fast or I'd never make it. A new mental tactic emerged. Don't focus on the full 24 hours. Instead, concentrate only on completing the next hour. I had calculated needing to complete the jumps in 22 rather than 24 hours in order to have a buffer. This required 660 jumps per hour instead of 605. I'd need to allow short recovery breaks each hour without sacrificing pace. In the 9th hour, with my calf screaming and lactic acid searing through my quads, old doubts resurfaced. How can I possibly keep this up? Rather than fixating on the next 15 hours, I zoomed my focus to simply finishing the next 25 minutes strong. Smaller milestones brought my mind to the present moment. All my energy was focused just on completing each milestone. In those painful final minutes when my body begged to quit, my mind remained unbroken, anchored in the current hour's completion. And at long last, after what turned out to be 14,550 jumps and 22 hours of blood, sweat and tears, victory. On the 30th of November 2019, I officially became the first and fastest person to box jump Mount Everest. Forever a Guinness World Record holder, and it never would have happened without shifting my thinking to an hour-by-hour battle plan. This idea is simple but transformative. Change your perception, change your life. Perception sets the boundaries of what you believe is achievable. By altering those boundaries even just a little, you open doors to possibilities that were inconceivable under your previous mindset. Whether running a business, improving your health, or enhancing your relationships, mastering the power of perception could be your first step towards a life filled with success, strength, and happiness. As we delve deeper into the 7 mindset principles in this book, remember that these are not just rules to follow, but transformative shifts in perception that can create a new reality for you. The problem and solution are both in your head. The truth about discipline. An introduction to true discipline. When we talk about discipline, various images might spring to mind. The King's Guard at Buckingham Palace, standing tall and not allowing anything to distract them from doing their job. The musician who effortlessly plays the piano in ways you've never heard before, or the athlete who's up before sunrise to complete a grueling workout before the day has even started. While these examples show some aspects of discipline, they also spread misunderstandings about it. By believing these myths, we accidentally make it harder for ourselves, making discipline seem like something only a few special people have. Before discussing what discipline is, it's essential to clear up those misunderstandings and explain what discipline is not. Discipline helps you win. First, let's debunk the myth that discipline means being stiff and having no freedom. People think if you're disciplined, you stick to a strict set of rules and never change them. This is not true. Strong self-discipline doesn't limit your life. It gives you structure that helps you improve it. Discipline is like knowing the rules of a game. Once you understand them, you can play freely and even win. Discipline is a life skill. Another myth is that you're either born with or without discipline. Some people believe that discipline is like height or eye color in that it's a fixed attribute you can't change. If I've shown anything in this chapter, you can go from a directionless, unfocused school kid following all the wrong paths and completely change into a different person over time. Discipline is a skill, and it's something that can be cultivated through practice and mindful application. Discipline gives you control. Yet another harmful belief is that discipline means punishing yourself and not allowing yourself to enjoy things. Some people think being disciplined means constantly avoiding fun and making life hard for yourself. Discipline isn't about punishing yourself. It's about gaining or regaining control over your actions. It helps you make choices that move you closer to your goals, even when they are hard. Discipline makes you wiser. And the final myth to put to bed is that discipline means you never make mistakes or fail. Thinking this is true sets a standard that's way too high, making achieving self-discipline seem out of reach. The truth is, everyone fails sometimes. I think I've failed more times than I've succeeded. What truly makes a disciplined person is what they do when they make that mistake or even fail. They learn from their mistakes or failures and then use them to get back on the right path, having learned the lesson from the mistake or failure. As we go on, let's forget these false ideas and make space for a better, more helpful understanding of discipline. True discipline isn't about being stiff, being born with it, punishing yourself, or never failing. It's about creating good habits and ways of thinking that help you succeed in the long run. It's about becoming someone who can handle life's ups and downs well. It's something that anyone can learn. True discipline, doing it even when you don't want to. To me, discipline means doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't want to. It's the backbone of every significant achievement of mine and the principles underpinning this book. Doing the hard stuff makes life easy. It might sound paradoxical, but it's true. Throughout my life, I've encountered numerous challenges, grueling physical tasks, and emotionally draining experiences. Every time I embraced these difficulties instead of avoiding them, I came out stronger, more resilient, and better prepared for future challenges. The rest of my life seemed to fall into place more smoothly. Simply put, doing the hard stuff turned out to be an investment in a more manageable, fulfilling future. Why does discipline matter? So, why does discipline matter in all these areas? Because it's universally applicable. Discipline is not specific to a job or a situation. It's a life skill. No matter the context, the practice of discipline leads to outcomes that are generally beneficial for the individual and whatever group they are part of. Whether it's in relationships, work, or personal development, discipline sets the stage for meeting and exceeding expectations. Discipline isn't just about doing things right. It's about doing the right things mainly when it's hard to do so. Once you understand and integrate discipline into your daily life, you'll find that the most challenging paths often lead to the most rewarding destinations. The 7 Mindset Principles. In the following chapters, I will dive deep into my 7 mindset principles for success, strength, and happiness, weaving in a story or two to get you thinking outside the box. Although these stories are fictional, they are far from theoretical. The principles they convey have been rigorously field-tested through my life experiences. From the discipline instilled in me during my time in the British Army to the business and athletic challenges I've faced and conquered. These principles will be broken down in an easy-to-understand manner, illustrated with short stories that give them a framework which will help you write your own story. If anything, my role is to do my best to help you rise to the challenge. The 7 mindset principles have not just been plucked out of thin air, but I have lived and breathed them. And the good news? They can be applied to your life too. As we go through each principle, you'll learn how to implement them in your journey towards success, strength, and happiness, making it fully your own. Zig Ziglar once said, "Difficult roads often lead to beautiful destinations." It's not about me, it's about you. I want to clarify that this book is not a memoir or a biography about me. While I've used a couple of personal stories about myself to highlight fundamental principles and the frameworks for understanding them, my greatest ambition is to give you actionable steps to help you create a healthier, happier, and stronger life. It's not about reminiscing over my achievements and successes, far from it. It's about transferring the lessons I've learned from those experiences into guidelines you can apply to your own life. Instead of just stating principles, I'm using simple short stories to help you grasp each one better. When we connect with story characters, our brain releases a feel-good hormone called oxytocin. This hormone helps us feel close to the people in the story and understand the message behind them that they want us to learn. A confession with me is that I often find myself getting emotional when watching certain Disney movies with my kids. The characters' challenges in these films make me think about my life. For example, a specific scene in the movie Coco makes me ponder the inevitability of growing older and eventually having to say goodbye to my children. It's a reminder for me to make the most of the time I have with them. Why this book? So, why did I write this book? Simply put, I've seen firsthand how transformative it can be to approach life with the right mindset. From my teen years where I had no sense of direction and lived for the moment to joining the British Army at 17 and learning about discipline, resilience, and the importance of a growth mindset, my transformation has been profound. But I'm just one example. Every one of us has the capacity for change, growth, and tremendous achievement if only we adjust our approach to the stuff life throws at us. My drive for writing this book lies in a mission that I've been focused on for many years now: leaving people better than when they found me. You might be stuck in a rut at your job, or perhaps you're struggling with some confidence issues. It might be that you're looking to give yourself a complete life overhaul, or simply a few upgrades. No matter your situation, I genuinely believe that my 7 mindset principles will serve as a stepping stone on your path to a healthier, happier, and stronger life. By the end of this book, I aim for you to see life through a different lens. I want you to understand that happiness is a state of mind you can choose regardless of the circumstances. I want to help you make peace with your past and be excited for a fresh new start with unlimited possibilities. I aim to inspire you to love yourself more, to stop caring so much about what others think of you, and live your life as much in the present as possible. Above everything, I aim to get you to embrace the idea that doing the hard stuff now makes life easier down the road. By sharing these principles with my short stories and personal experiences, my mission is to equip you for your own personal transformation physically, mentally, and emotionally. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what I've done or where I've been. It's about where you're going and how you're going to get there. I want this book to be your guide, personal mentor, and your energy and inspiration for an exciting journey ahead. I want this book to be your roadmap to navigate the challenges and enjoy the rewards of choosing a life filled with hard stuff that leads to an easy life. Your personal invitation to change. I want to warmly invite you to embrace change. If you've picked up this book, chances are that you're looking for ways to improve your life, tackle life's challenges more effectively, or find a deeper sense of happiness and fulfillment. Whatever your motivation or drive, I want to assure you that the answers you seek are within your grasp, and more importantly, within you. As you go through the chapters, remember that this book isn't just a manual or guide. It's a personal invitation from me. It's an offer for you to open your mind up to new ways of thinking, challenge your current beliefs and attitudes, and try to see the world and yourself in a new light. A light that helps you see paths you may have never considered walking. 5 quick tips for approaching this book. Stay open-minded. Be open to ideas or principles that might seem strange. Try not to dismiss them. Instead, try to understand the reason behind them and why I've included them in this book. Doing so might help you discover a valuable idea or perspective you've never considered before. Keep track. Use your brain for thinking, not for remembering. Keep a notepad or your phone handy to write down any ideas or feelings that resonate with you, and then revisit them as you apply the principles to your life. Break the rules. A short story accompanies each principle to illustrate its core idea. After listening to them, try to apply the principle to a small aspect of your life and make a note of the results. Feel free to play around and mix and match too. You're not a slave to the order in which the principles are laid out. Following them step by step is an option. Choosing one principle and sticking to it for a chosen period of time, another. There is no going wrong here. Absorb and apply. Don't just skim through the chapters. At the end of each principle will be some tasks. Absorb the content, reflect on it, and challenge yourself to complete one of the action steps on the day you listen to the chapter. Be patient. Change isn't something that happens overnight. It's an endless journey that requires time, effort, and persistence. Like Aesop's fable of the tortoise and the hare, slow and steady always wins the race. The title of this introduction, The Problem Is in Your Head, isn't meant to be taken lightly. It aims to underscore the power of your mind and perception in shaping your reality. It's easy to think that life just happens to us and that we're along for the ride. But when we finally start to change the way we think and adjust the lens through which we see the world, we don't just change our perception of it, we change our whole reality. The problem is in your head, but remember, so is the solution. In your mind lies incredible power. The power to adapt, the power to overcome, and the power to create a life you've always wanted. It's all about viewing challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities. It's about understanding that discipline is not a form of punishment, but a pathway to freedom. These 7 principles have entirely changed my life in ways I could have never imagined. From a directionless teen to my transformative years in the British Army and my career shifts and accomplishments over the years, these principles have been the foundations on which I have built my experiences. Let's embark on this journey together. As you listen, keep your mind open to the boundless possibilities and remember that the power to change your life rests only with you and your mind. Principle 1. Happiness is an inside job. The bird and the tree. A single withered tree stood in a vast sun-baked desert where the endless golden sand spread out under the sky. The tree had faced many arduous years in this harsh environment. Its branches were all twisted up and its bark was rough and dried. The tree had seen better times and often moaned about living in such an empty place. Near the tree was a small oasis, a rare gem in the desert. Here, a tiny bird with feathers as colourful as the oasis made its home. Despite the desert's toughness, the bird was always flying happily, its sweet songs filling the air. The bird would sing every morning as the sun rose, shining its intense rays over the land. Its tunes were like calm winds, relieving the hot earth. The tree, though, didn't find any comfort in them. It grumbled about the never-ending sun, the lack of water, and being so alone. "Why do you sing, little bird?" the tree asked one day, its voice as dry as the desert sands. "Look around. It's just heat and nothingness. Why be happy?" The bird sat on one of the tree's brittle branches thinking. "I sing because I choose to see the good in every day," it answered brightly. "Yes, the desert is tough, but it's also my home. It has a stark beauty, a strength that I love. Happiness, dear tree, isn't about where you are, but how you see your world." The tree didn't believe this. How could anyone find joy in such a bleak place? Yet each day the bird returned with its songs, its spirit not dimmed by the rough surroundings. Slowly, the tree started to wonder, what if I tried to see the world like the bird did? The tree began to notice things it could be thankful for. It saw how its branches gave shade to tired travelers. It admired the rare desert flowers that grew at its base. The tree even started feeling proud of its deep roots, which had kept it standing through many storms. As days went by, something unique happened. The tree found itself complaining less. The sun seemed less hot, the winds less harsh. The tree felt peaceful, happy even, for the first time in years. One morning, as the bird sang its dawn song, the tree realized it was no longer just a withered tree in a lonely desert. It was part of something bigger, a sign of survival and strength. And, with that thought, the tree began to bloom, small delicate flowers appearing on its bare branches. Once a place of sorrow, the desert had become a source of beauty and strength. The tree had learned that happiness wasn't about the outside world, but an inner choice to make every day, no matter what was happening around it. From then on, the bird's songs weren't the only happiness in the desert. The once withered tree stood as a beacon of hope, symbolizing the joy that can come from within. The happiness illusion. Many people mistakenly equate happiness with intense euphoria and excitement. However, this couldn't be further from the truth. I vividly recall my wedding day in 2007, undeniably one of the happiest days of my life. Yet, amid this joy, I also remember feeling utterly exhausted and being swept up in a whirlwind of emotions. Happiness isn't just about these moments of intense feelings. Excitement and euphoria often stem from a surge of neurotransmitters like dopamine and endorphins, creating a temporary high that's sometimes confused with happiness. But this high is fleeting. Our bodies can't sustain such heightened states for long. In contrast, happiness, a state of well-being, isn't reliant on these intense neurochemical responses. True happiness is far more complex and multifaceted. It resembles a garden cultivated with peace, satisfaction, and a sense of purpose. It's discovered in the quieter moments of contentment and joy, meaningful relationships, and personal growth. Recognizing the difference has altered my approach to life. I've moved away from the relentless pursuit of fleeting highs, focusing instead on the more lasting aspects of well-being. It's important not to dismiss the value of excitement and pleasure. These experiences can enrich our lives, adding colour and vitality. But mistaking them for true happiness can lead us to constantly pursue short-lived highs. In doing so, we might overlook the more enduring elements of well-being. Nurturing relationships, personal development, and achieving a sense of accomplishment. Many of us believe that happiness is something we'll find in the future, not something we can have right now. We always say to ourselves, "I'll be happy when something happens," or "I'll be happy when I get something I want." This way of thinking makes us keep chasing after happiness. But it always feels just out of reach, like we can never quite catch it. It's as if we're on a long walk, seeing a beautiful hill in the distance and thinking, "I'll be happy when I get there." But when we reach the hill, we see another one further away and we think, "We must reach that one to be happy." This keeps going on, and we never really find the happiness we're looking for because we're always looking ahead, not at what we have right now. This is what I like to call the happiness illusion. We spend so much time and effort thinking about the future and what we need to be happy that we forget to look at our life as it is. Many things already around us can probably make us happy, but we don't see them because we're too focused on the next big thing. The truth is, happiness isn't somewhere far away or in the future. It's in the small things that happen daily, the moments we share with friends and family, and the things we enjoy doing. We can find happiness in the here and now, not just in a future that hasn't happened yet. Choose to focus on the real thing instead. Choose to focus on your happiness. The next big thing is now. Making hard stuff easy, reframing happiness. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask you 5 questions. These questions are there to help you reflect on your own story and connect the dots of happiness. If you like, pause the audiobook and take some time to think about each one. What does happiness mean to you? When you think of a happy memory, what comes to mind? On a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your personal happiness and why? When was the last time you felt truly at peace or content, and what were you doing? What small thing happened to you today that brought you happiness? Conditional happiness, aka the dissatisfaction trap. Conditional happiness happens when people think they'll only be happy if certain things occur or they get certain things they want. It's like saying to yourself, "I'll be happy when something changes," or "Happiness will come when I achieve this specific goal." This mindset makes people believe that happiness is tied to specific events or life changes, making it entirely dependent on external factors. Someone might think they'll be happy only if they can find a new job, or once they've lost some weight. They place outcomes on their happiness, making it conditional on achieving these goals. The issue with this sort of thinking is that even when people get what they have been hoping for, the feeling of happiness often doesn't last very long. For example, imagine someone finally gets the job they've been wanting. At first, they were pleased and excited. But after a while, this new job becomes just another routine, and they start looking for the next thing that will make them happy, like a higher position or more pay. The same goes for someone who wants to lose weight. They might work hard to reach their goal and feel happy. But then the focus shifts to maintaining that weight loss and they start to worry. If they gain a little weight, they might feel unhappy again and think they need to lose more to be happy. This cycle of conditional happiness means that people are always looking for the next thing that will make them happy without ever finding lasting contentment. They believe that happiness comes from outside themselves, from changing their circumstances or achieving new goals. True happiness isn't about what we have or what we achieve. It's about finding joy in the present moment and appreciating what we already have. When we stop putting conditions on our happiness, we might find that it's been there all along, waiting for us to notice it. Be the master of your happiness. To be really happy, it's essential to understand and find unconditional happiness. This is a kind of happiness that doesn't depend on what's happening in our lives or the things we have. It's about feeling content and happy inside, no matter what happens outside. This happiness stays steady and doesn't go away, even when things change. Unconditional happiness means finding joy in who we are and what we have, not just in the things we hope to get or achieve. It's being able to smile and feel peaceful, even when things aren't perfect or when facing challenges. This type of happiness comes from within ourselves, not from outside sources. Someone with unconditional happiness can feel happy even when it's raining and they can't go outside. They find something joyful in the sound of the rain or enjoy spending time indoors. They don't need perfect weather to feel happy. If they have a tough day at work or school, they still find reasons to be cheerful. Maybe because they have a loving family or are grateful for their health. The happiness that comes from within is powerful because it doesn't shake or disappear with life's ups and downs. It's like having a warm glowing light inside that keeps shining, even on those rainy days. To have this kind of happiness, we need to look inside ourselves, find out what makes us truly happy, and focus on those things rather than always looking outside for happiness. Unconditional happiness is about understanding that while we can't always control what happens in our lives, we can control how we react. We can find happiness in the small, everyday things and be grateful for what we have. It's a happiness that's always there, quietly waiting for us to recognize and embrace it. Making hard stuff easy. How to develop unconditional happiness. Spider. Learning to develop unconditional happiness isn't easy. It requires a lot of repetition, practice, and understanding yourself. But as with all the ideas in this book, if you're willing to do the hard stuff, you'll find that life becomes much easier. Spider stands for skill, presence, impermanence, detachment, emotion, and removal. Dig deep for lasting happiness. S equals skill, developing the skill of happiness. Happiness, much like any skill, is something you can improve with practice. You can work on it by doing activities such as meditation and gratitude journaling. Making these practices a regular part of your daily routine is essential. Mastering presence. Meditation is a great way to calm your mind and bring peace to your everyday life. It's like pressing pause on the hustle and bustle that fills our days, giving your mind a chance to rest and re-energize. Just spending a few minutes on this each day can really help. To get started, find a quiet spot where you won't be disturbed and set a 5-minute timer. This is enough time to begin with. The goal here isn't to make your mind completely blank, but rather to let your thoughts come and go. Imagine your thoughts are like feathers landing softly on a box. Instead of holding on to these thoughts or getting wrapped up in the feelings they bring, picture them being gently picked up by a breeze and drifting away. Watch each thought as it floats off, not getting attached to it or dwelling on it. This way of seeing your thoughts as feathers caught in the wind is crucial to meditation. If you can visualize your thoughts like this and let them go, you're doing it right. It's a simple but effective way to practice meditation. Don't overthink it. Whenever I hear the word meditation, my mind instantly conjures the image of a Tibetan monk serenely perched for hours on the mountain's edge. Like many, I tried to embrace this practice multiple times, initially baffled by its purpose and process. I've stumbled and questioned through my journey, yet gradually I've understood its essence. Meditation, simply put, is the art of training your mind to acknowledge a thought and let it drift by untethered. Remember the feather analogy from before? This is what meditation teaches us. In a world where overthinking is as natural as breathing, dedicating 5 minutes daily to this practice can be transformative. The peace it brings, once elusive to me, now colours my days with a calmness I never knew I was missing. It's an invaluable skill, a quiet revolution against the chaos of our thoughts, and one that I believe is worth everyone's time to master. Gratitude journaling. Showing gratitude or being thankful is the ultimate happiness habit. It involves thinking about and appreciating the good things in your life. These can be big things like your family and friends, or little things like a tasty meal or a sunny day. When you focus on these positive things, it can really improve your mood and help you notice all the good around you. To start gratitude journaling, you just need a pen and some paper. Write down these prompts and spend a few minutes thinking and writing down answers to each of them. What is something in your home you love the most? Think about an item in your house that brings you joy or comfort. It could be a cozy chair, a photo of a happy memory, or even your favorite mug. Write down what this item is and why it means so much to you. Think of the last place you visited that made you feel calm and peaceful. What was it about this place that brought you such peace? Consider the scenery, quietness, or personal connection that made it special. Think about a relationship that has positively affected your life. What has it taught you about love, friendship, or trust? Reflect on a relationship that has had a good impact on your life. This could be with a family member, a friend, or even a pet. Write about what this relationship has shown you about important values like love, friendship, and trust. Gratitude journaling is a powerful way to remind yourself of the good things in your life. It helps you focus on the positive, making you feel happier and more content. Making hard stuff easy. Gratitude foundations. What I want you to do now is pause and reflect on these next 5 questions. The aim for these are to help you recalibrate the way you perceive your reality, and instead of stumbling deeper into the rut of negativity, focus on the positives when things go wrong. What are 3 things that happened to you today you are grateful for? What is the one thing you aren't currently giving yourself credit for? Who are you grateful for in your life and why? What was the last accomplishment that made you proud of yourself? What is one thing you are looking forward to this week? If it doesn't exist, plan it. P equals presence, enjoying the moment you're in. To quote Robert Brault, enjoy the little things, for one day you may look back and realize they were the big things. Learning to enjoy the moment you're in, no matter what it brings, is all about being present. It means paying attention to what's happening now and not just thinking about what's coming next. Being present is about really noticing everything around you, the way the sun feels on your skin, the sound of birds singing, or the taste of your food. It's about enjoying what you're doing now, whether walking, talking to a friend, or just sitting quietly. Sometimes we get so caught up in waiting for the next holiday, the following weekend, or the next big event that we don't notice the little things that make our everyday life so special. When you learn to be present, you start seeing how much there is to enjoy and be grateful for. Being present means really tasting each bite of your favorite meal, smelling the aromas and appreciating the food. If you're talking to someone, it means really listening to them, not thinking about what you'll say next or what you'll need to do later. Enjoying the moment you're in makes life richer and more enjoyable. It helps you appreciate the little things that make you feel more calm, happy, and connected to the world. I equals impermanence. Nothing stays the same forever. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, we only live in the present. Impermanence is about realizing that life and everything in it constantly changes, and that nothing outside us stays the same forever. Things like our jobs, the places we live, and even our relationships. Because these things constantly change, we can't depend on them to make us happy. Impermanence is a fact of life. Flowers bloom and fade away, seasons change, and even the busiest cities can become quiet. This can be sad to think about, but it also teaches us a valuable lesson about finding happiness. It reminds us to enjoy and appreciate things while we have them, but not to hold on too tightly because they won't last forever. You might have a favorite gadget right now. It's great to enjoy it, but it's also important to remember that one day it might break, or you might lose interest in it. The same goes for life experiences. Enjoy the good times, but know that they will change, and that's okay. Understanding that life is impermanent helps us to be more flexible and less upset when things do change. It encourages us to find happiness within ourselves instead of looking for it only in things or situations that will eventually change or end. This way, we can be more at peace and find a more lasting happiness. D equals detachment. Don't tie your happiness to a result. This quote was attributed to Buddha. The secret of health for both body and mind is not to mourn for the past, worry about the future, or anticipate troubles, but to live in the present moment wisely and earnestly. Detachment, the good kind, means not letting your happiness depend too much on the results or outcomes of things you want or do. It's about having hopes and dreams, but not letting your inner peace and happiness be tied entirely to whether these things happen. For example, imagine you're looking forward to a day out with friends. It's great to be excited about it, but if something changes and the day out can't happen, try not to let it make you too unhappy. Being detached means you understand that sometimes plans change, and that's all right. You find ways to be content and happy even if things don't go as planned. This doesn't mean you shouldn't care about things or work hard for what you want. It's good to have goals and to put effort into achieving them. Detachment is more about how you handle the feelings that come with success or failure. It's about not letting these feelings control you. By practicing detachment, you learn to enjoy doing things rather than focusing on the end result. It helps you stay calm and balanced no matter what life throws your way. And you'll find that happiness doesn't depend on external circumstances. E equals emotion. Keep calm and carry on. Working on keeping your emotions steady means learning how to stay calm and balanced, no matter what's happening around you. It's about not letting life's good and bad times affect you too much. This doesn't mean you won't feel ecstatic or sad sometimes, but it's about not letting these feelings take over completely. If something good happens, like winning a prize or having a great day out, it's natural to feel happy and excited. But it's important to not let this excitement make you forget about other things or take risks you wouldn't usually take. Similarly, when something not so good happens, like you have a disagreement with a friend or a plan doesn't work out, it's okay to feel upset or disappointed. But try not to let these feelings make you too sad or stop you from enjoying other parts of your life. Learning to manage your emotions is like being the captain of a ship in the ocean. Sometimes the sea will be calm, and sometimes it will be stormy. But as the captain, you learn how to steer your ship steadily through both calm and rough waters. By working on keeping your emotions steady, you become more resilient. This means you can handle life's ups and downs better and stay calm and happy, no matter what's happening around you. It's an essential skill for finding long-lasting happiness and peace of mind. From the Bhagavad Gita, detachment is not that you own nothing, detachment is that nothing owns you. R equals removal. Stop relying on external things to make you happy. Removal is about learning not to rely on external things, like your successes or the things you own, to make you happy. It's understanding that real happiness comes from inside you, not from the things you have or what you achieve. It's nice to have a new phone or a fancy car, and it's great to do well in a test or at work. But these things shouldn't be the only source of your happiness. If your joy only comes from getting new things or being successful, what happens when you can't have these things anymore? Your happiness might go away too. True joy is more than just about having stuff or winning awards. It's about the love you feel for your family and friends, the peace you get from a quiet moment alone, or the fun you have playing a game or enjoying a hobby. These feelings come from inside you and don't depend on what you have or your achievements. Finding joy in simple things like a walk in the park, a good book, or a chat with a friend helps you understand that happiness isn't about collecting things or ticking off achievements. It's about your feelings and how you see the world. When you stop relying on external things to make you happy, you start to enjoy life more for what it is, not what you can get from it. You find happiness in being yourself and from the world around you, not just in things or successes. This way, your happiness becomes more stable and long-lasting. Making hard stuff easy, the ego challenge. In a world that often expects us to look and behave in specific ways, it's easy to lose track of our uniqueness and the life experiences that have shaped us. This challenge is a brilliant way to reconnect with yourself. See beyond your appearance and value your true self and your strength. I'd like you to take 5 minutes for this exercise. Take out a blank piece of paper and a pen. Think about your strengths. Things you could brag about if you were your own wingman or wingwoman. Don't focus on what you see as flaws or weaknesses. Laughter lines indicate joyous times. Stubbornness speaks of challenges you've overcome. And your stories reflect love, loss, victories, and essential life lessons. I want you to pause this audio and think about 5 things that boost your ego. Now, that might have felt odd or unusual, but believe me, it's an incredibly powerful exercise. Pay attention to the feelings that come up when you reread each of your strengths. Focus on your personality and looks. Remember the inner strength, resilience, and beauty that you possess, which you might have overlooked because you've been too caught up in life. This challenge is more than just about learning to love yourself. It's a journey towards deeper self-understanding. Continuously doing this will help you to get to know and appreciate yourself more. It will also help you recognize how your life experiences have molded you. Embracing this challenge is a step towards celebrating yourself more, acknowledging the amazing person you've become, and reminding yourself that happiness is an inside job, and there is plenty to be grateful for in your own self. Notice the difference? Principle 2. Make peace with your past. The Monk and the Whispering Diary. There was once a monastery in a hidden valley, surrounded by ancient forests and soothed by gentle streams. This peaceful place was home to a monk who was always lost in deep thought, searching for understanding about life and the mind. One day, while looking through the monastery's old books, the monk found an old diary tucked away in a dusty corner. It was called the Whispering Diary, and it was known to hold the thoughts of many monks from long ago. Feeling a sudden pang of curiosity, the monk started to read. With each page turned, the monk heard quiet voices coming from the diary. These were the worries and fears of monks who had lived before, their struggles whispering through the pages. Night after night the monk read on, soaking up the old worries and thoughts. At first, the monk thought these whispers were interesting, like a window into the minds of those who had sought wisdom before. But soon, the monk noticed that the diary's whispers stirred up his worries. The old fears began to mix with the monk's present, leading him into a maze of troubled thoughts. The usually calm monk became anxious, his mind filled with a storm of voices. Looking for help, the monk went to his mentor, an older monk known for his wisdom and peace. The elder listened carefully as the monk told him about the Whispering Diary. The elder monk smiled wisely and said, "The diary is like a mirror for your mind. It shows you not just the past, but how you react to it. Don't use it to hold on to your worries, but as a tool to understand and get past them. True peace comes from learning from these voices, not being stuck in them." With this newly gained understanding, the monk went back to the diary. He wrote his thoughts next to the old monk's words this time. He learned to hear the whispers not as burdens, but as lessons, helping him to understand himself better. As days turned into weeks, everyone saw how much the monk had changed. The diary, once a thing that caused unrest, was now a valued source of wisdom. The voices from the past helped the monk manage his thoughts and feelings with more clarity and peace. In the calm of the monastery, guided by the Whispering Diary, the monk found his way to inner peace. He learned to live in the moment, taking wisdom from the past without being caught in it. And so he went on to pass the wisdom to everyone who crossed his path. Peace doesn't come from ignoring our past, but from understanding and learning from it. By living in the now and reflecting on what's gone, we can find peace and wisdom in the journey through life. The first step to making peace with your past. In trying to make peace with our past, we often think about it over and over. At first glance, this kind of thinking, where we repeatedly mull over past events, usually in a negative way, might look like it's stopping us from getting better. But if we look closer, we see this process can be the first step. It can lead to deeper thinking, understanding, and, eventually, peace with what happened before. Everyone has times they wish they could redo, words they wish they hadn't said, and actions they regret. When we keep thinking about these things, they stay in our minds. It's easy to think these thoughts are just negative and unhelpful. But they're pointing out things from our past that we haven't fully dealt with yet, things that need our attention and healing. This kind of thinking can kickstart a deeper dive into our feelings. The more we think about certain events or choices, the more we uncover the emotions and beliefs tied to them. This helps us spot our deepest hurts, misunderstandings, and habits. Once we see these, we can start understanding their origins and positively dealing with them. However, it's important to remember that thinking over and over about the past can be like a double-edged sword. While it can show us what parts of our lives need more attention, if we do it too much and don't do anything about it, it can lead to more stress, worry, and even depression. So the aim isn't to keep thinking about the past forever, but to use these thoughts as a starting point for healing. The rumination cycle. The rumination cycle is when someone keeps thinking about something, usually in the wrong way, which affects how they feel. It begins with a trigger, something that happens or a thought that gets this thinking started. This might be a comment from a friend or an old memory. Next is the reaction, where the person quickly starts to feel upset or worried. Then the person starts to think about what happened and how they feel about it. This usually means they overthink and try to work out everything about the situation. The fourth step is making the event seem more important than it might be, which can make them see things in the wrong way. Lastly, the cycle ends with these blown-up ideas becoming strong beliefs or memories. These fixed thoughts can change how the person feels and acts, often in a bad way, making them feel stressed or anxious for a long time about what happened. Breaking this cycle can be challenging, but being aware of each step in the cycle can help you resolve these issues. The 5-step rumination cycle. Step 1. Trigger. This is what starts the cycle. It can be something that happens around you or something you think of suddenly. It's like a spark that sets off your thoughts. Maybe a friend says something that catches you off guard. You don't do as well as you expected in an exam, or an old photo brings back memories of a time you'd rather forget. These are all triggers that begin the cycle of rumination. Step 2. Reaction. Right after the trigger, you have a natural response. This response can be emotional, like feeling sad or worried, or mental, where you start thinking a lot about the trigger. This reaction is your immediate way of dealing with what just happened or what you remembered. You might feel hurt or confused if a friend makes an offhand remark. Or, if you remember a past mistake, you might start feeling anxious about it all over again. These feelings are your initial reactions to the trigger. Step 3. Reflection. In this stage, you start thinking more deeply about what happened. You review the event and your feelings about it, trying to make sense of them. This step involves a lot of thinking, and sometimes overthinking, about why something happened and what it means. You keep thinking about why your friend said what they did and what it might have meant. Or, if you're remembering a past event, you might spend a lot of time analysing why it happened and how it made you feel, trying to understand every detail. Step 4. Realisation. In this stage, the event or thought from the trigger starts to seem much more significant than it might be. You start to blow things out of proportion, thinking that a small event has huge implications or meanings. You might begin to believe that your friend's comment means your entire friendship is in trouble, or that not doing well in one exam means you're not good at the subject. This realization can make the situation seem much worse than it actually is. Step 5. Reaffirmation. This is where your realized thoughts start to feel like solid truths. What might have begun as a slight worry or simple memory now becomes a big belief or a defining memory for you. These thoughts get firmly planted in your mind and can shape how you see yourself and the world. You might become convinced that your friendship is definitely troubled because of that comment. Or you might start believing that you will always struggle in a particular subject because of one bad exam. These reaffirmed thoughts can significantly impact your feelings and behavior going forward. From rumination to resolution. Making peace with our past means moving from overthinking to sorting things out. Once we know what makes us overthink, we need to face these memories, feelings, or beliefs, understand how they affect us now, and do something to make peace or deal with them. Each step in the rumination cycle needs us to do something and then change our approach. The trigger trick. The key here is to be aware. Realize that this event, comment, or memory makes you ruminate. This might not be easy at first, but you'll get better at spotting these triggers with practice. When you notice one, try not to react straight away. Take a deep breath instead. This pause can help you calm down and stop you from getting too caught up in your thoughts. You could also write down what happened or what was said. Put it in a diary, your notes app, or on a piece of paper. This way, you can look at it later when you feel calmer and ready to think about it. Writing it down also helps you step back from the situation momentarily. It's like telling yourself, I'll deal with this, but not right this second. This can be helpful because it allows you to break from the immediate emotions and thoughts the trigger might cause. This is the first step in controlling the cycle of rumination. You're recognizing what sets it off and giving yourself a way to handle it better. It starts to break the automatic reaction of jumping straight into a whirlwind of thoughts. The reaction resolution. Stop and take a deep breath before you get carried away by your initial reaction. Remember the meditation exercise we discussed within Principle 1, the box and the feather? It's important to remind yourself that the way you react at first is often shaped by the things that have happened to you before. Your first feelings might not really show what's happening right now. Try not to get too stuck in these negative feelings. Instead, ask yourself helpful questions like, what can I learn from this situation? Or, what's a better way for me to handle this? Questions like these can help you think more positively and find better ways to deal with what's happening. It's also essential to create what I call the gap. This is a short time between something happening and how you react to it. By making this gap, you give yourself a chance to think before you respond. This means you can choose to react in a better way instead of just going with your first emotional thought. If someone says something that upsets you, instead of immediately getting angry or upset, use the gap to think about why they might have said it and how you can respond calmly. This could mean taking a moment to breathe deeply, counting to 10 in your head, or stepping away for a few minutes. By taking this approach, you're in charge of how you respond. Instead of just going with the first emotion, you're giving yourself time to think. It's like pressing pause when you're watching a film. This break allows you to stop for a moment and think about the story. This pause can help you see things more clearly and decide on the best reaction rather than just acting on your first impulse. You cannot see your reflection in boiling water. Similarly, you cannot see the truth in a state of anger. When the water's calm, clarity comes. The reflection reframe. Use this time of deep thought in a good way. It's normal to want to work out what happened, but try not to let your thoughts go round and round in a harmful or ineffectual way. Try to think in a way that helps you grow. Instead of thinking about your feelings, look at the situation from every side. Maybe there was just a mix-up, or maybe there's something you can learn from what happened. Try to think of ways to solve the problem or look at things differently. I often use a way of thinking called Hanlon's razor, which states, never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity. Let me give you an example. Imagine you go on a date and end up waiting for an hour. You might start thinking the person doesn't like you, or that they're being rude by standing you up. But then you find out later that they turned up at a different restaurant, which had a similar name 3 miles away. They weren't trying to be mean or make you feel bad, they just made a silly mistake. In situations like this, it's easy to think the worst about the other person or even yourself. But often, it's just a simple mistake or bad luck. Remembering Hanlon's razor can help you stop jumping to negative conclusions. It's like stepping back and asking yourself, could there be a simpler, less hurtful reason for this? This way of thinking can stop you from feeling hurt or angry about things that might not be as bad as they seem. The realization resolution. Be on the lookout and watch how you think about things. If you start to see a situation as much bigger or more severe than it really was, understand that our minds can make things seem worse. If you find yourself doing this, stop and think about your thoughts. Ask yourself, is this true, or am I making it out to be more than it was? Talking to a friend or someone you trust about how you see things can be beneficial. They might be able to give you a different view of the situation, one that's truer to what happened, which can help you get a more balanced and fair understanding of the event. A great technique to use is what I call the friend's lens. Here's how it works. Write down what happened as if you're telling someone else about it. Then imagine that a friend has just told you this story and is asking you for advice. Think about what you would say to them. Often, the advice we would give to somebody else is exactly what we need to hear ourselves. The important thing is to then start using that advice in your own life. This approach can help you to be kinder and more understanding of yourself, seeing the situation in a more reasonable and balanced way. Just like you would if a friend came to you with the same problem. The reaffirmation refresh. Before you let a big belief take root in your mind, stop and think about whether it's really true. Ask yourself if this belief is built on actual facts or just guesses you're making. Sometimes these beliefs come more from things that happened to us in the past rather than what's going on right now. It's essential to check whether your thoughts are about the here and now or are being colored by old experiences. Try doing things that go against these stuck beliefs. This can help you see if they're really true. For example, if you start thinking you're not good at your job because of one mistake, try taking on new tasks at work. This can show you that one mistake doesn't define your skills or worth. It's like testing your belief to see if it holds up. You might discover that you're much more capable than you thought, which can help break down these untrue beliefs. Challenging beliefs with actions allows you to see things more clearly and learn that you're capable of more than you might have thought. It's like shining a light on a shadow. The scary shape you thought you saw often turns out to be much less frightening when you look at it properly. Making hard stuff easy, from rumination to resolution. Use the 5 steps mentioned earlier to get yourself out of a rumination cycle or a thought pattern that's keeping you from achieving your goals. Name the trigger, identify your reaction, put it through the friend's lens, and then decide whether you want to enforce it or get rid of it. Write down the trigger. What triggered you to start ruminating on the past? The reaction. What was your initial reaction to the trigger? How did you respond? The reflection. How did this trigger make you feel for the rest of the day? Did it cause you to overthink and make up scenarios in your head? The realization. Is your train of thought helping or hindering you? Do you need to adjust how you think of this trigger and address the underlying issues behind it? Reaffirmation. What needs to change here to stop this rumination cycle from happening again? Making hard stuff easy. Reversing the cycle. The hard stuff in making peace with your past is identifying your current triggers and how they ended up turning into solid truths in your head. Here are 2 examples of how this can occur with relationships and weight loss, and what steps to take to reverse the cycle. Reversing the cycle of relationships. James's story. James had been in a relationship with Alex for 3 years. They seemed happy until the day James discovered Alex was cheating on him. When confronted, Alex cruelly said they didn't find James attractive anymore. This comment deeply hurt James, and he couldn't shake the feeling of being unattractive. Over time, James repeatedly thought about Alex's words. He reflected on them excessively, thinking that it must be true if someone he loved could say this. He magnified this belief, thinking that he was not only unattractive to Alex, but also to everyone. This thought became a solid truth in his mind. As a result, James struggled to find and maintain new relationships. He believed he was not worthy of love and that anyone he dated would eventually see him as unattractive. This belief, rooted in past experience, overshadowed his interactions and made him fearful of commitment and intimacy. To reverse this cycle, James needs to understand that the trigger, Alex's infidelity and hurtful comment, was more about Alex's issues than his own worth or attractiveness. He needs to recognize that Alex's cheating and subsequent blaming were due to their own insecurities, low self-esteem, and inability to communicate honestly. It was an unfair deflection of their guilt onto James. James needs to see that this one person's actions and words don't define his worth or desirability. By understanding that the problem was with Alex and not with him, James can dismantle this false belief that he is unattractive and unworthy of love. He can start challenging this belief by seeking out experiences that reinforce his desirability and worthiness of love. Engaging in new social activities, meeting new people, and showing that he deserves love and a stable, fulfilling relationship. This process involves James actively questioning the validity of his long-held belief and replacing it with a healthier, more accurate view of himself. By doing so, he can open himself up to the possibility of love and connection in a way his rumination cycle has previously blocked. Reversing the cycle of weight loss. Sam's story. Sam had participated in an extreme weight loss program and had lost a staggering 40 pounds in 3 months. The transformation was so dramatic that Sam became a poster person for the program. However, the methods used were intense and unsustainable. Once the program ended, Sam gradually returned to normal eating habits and regained 40 pounds. This weight gain made Sam feel guilty and like a failure. They believed they had let down the program and themselves. This feeling of failure became a solid truth in Sam's mind. As a result, every time Sam tried to start a new weight loss journey, they would end up sabotaging their efforts, driven by a deep fear of success and the pressure of potentially letting others down again. To reverse this cycle, Sam needs to understand the problem wasn't with them, but with the extreme nature of the weight loss program. Rapid weight loss methods often don't offer sustainable long-term results or teach healthy lifelong habits. Some must recognize that the program's unrealistic standards and practices are at fault for creating a distorted view of weight loss and maintenance. Sam can start by acknowledging that sustainable weight loss is a gradual process and involves building healthy long-term habits rather than seeking immediate drastic results. They need to forgive themselves for the weight regain and understand that it's an expected outcome with such extreme weight loss methods. Engaging in a more balanced approach to weight loss, focusing on nourishing the body and developing a healthy relationship with food and exercise can help Sam break free from the cycle of self-sabotage. Seeking support from others who understand sustainable weight management can also aid this journey. By shifting the perspective from blaming themselves to understanding the flawed approach of the extreme program, Sam can begin to heal their relationship with their body and with food. This involves dismantling the belief that they are a failure and replacing it with the understanding that proper health and weight management is about balance, self-care, and sustainable lifestyle changes. Making hard stuff easy. Reverse your cycle. Take some time to pause this audiobook and reflect on these 3 important questions from the rumination cycle. What negative pattern do you constantly find yourself in? If you were to give your best friend advice on solving this problem, what would you say to them? What is one habit that you can commit to next week that will help change this negative pattern into more of a positive one? The art of letting go. Dealing with past regrets, bad feelings, and old hurts often feels like a hefty load that keeps dragging you down. But the great thing about taking a good hard look inside yourself is that it can liberate you from these burdens, starting you on a path towards feeling free and light. Learning to let go focuses on this process of becoming free. When we face our past troubles head-on and genuinely get to grips with them, we begin the process of healing. This can happen in many ways. Maybe by talking things through with someone, taking time to really think things over, saying sorry to ourselves or others, or just accepting things that have happened and can't be changed. This journey helps us to refresh and renew our spirit. This isn't just about sorting our thoughts and feelings, though. It also leads to fundamental physical changes. Our emotions, especially old and deep-seated ones, can become lodged in our bodies, getting stuck in our muscles and joints. Physical activities like yoga, dancing, or regular exercise can help release these hidden emotions. This release supports not only our emotional well-being, but also our overall health and wellness. When we finally let go, we do more than come to terms with our past. We also open ourselves up to a present and future that's lighter, full of freedom, and rich with possibilities. This way, we finally make peace with our past and move forward into a brighter, more hopeful future. Making hard stuff easy. Find your why and get rid of it. What I want you to do now is think about a recurring problem. The primary goal of this challenge is to help you dig deep and find the root cause of this problem, instead of the surface level answers you've been giving yourself. Here's an example so you understand the process of this challenge. Problem: I'm struggling to lose weight. Why? I eat too much food. Why? I get bored at weekends. Why? I don't have many friends. Why? I never talk to people. Why? Well, I'm afraid to talk to others. Countermeasure. Challenge yourself to go out on weekends and meet new people. As you can see from this example, this person's problem with weight loss is the boredom of staying in every weekend, eating food on the sofa, and not interacting with others. It can be scary to put yourself out there and meet new people, which is why so many people avoid doing so. Still, when you finally build the courage to do the hard stuff, you'll have an easier life. Start with the problem at the top of a piece of paper, then write 5 whys down the page. When you've answered the whys, devise the countermeasure that you will action to resolve them. Pause here while you complete this challenge and come back to Principle 3, Love Yourself. Principle 3. Love yourself. The Midsummer Song. Deep in faraway mountains lay an enchanted forest, humming and alive with nightingales that sang their melodies. Among them was a young nightingale with messy feathers and a song as sweet as the morning dew. From an early age, his existence was filled with music. His mother's voice could warm the coldest morning. His father could make the leaves dance with his melodies. For them, music was the essence of life itself. He knew they were all part of something bigger. He also knew he was talented. Still, as he listened to the music of other nightingales, he couldn't stop the bitter feelings of jealousy and comparison from creeping up on him. Determined to find his spotlight, he practiced tirelessly, often until the moon climbed high into the night sky, striving to outsing the rest. One evening, after a particularly strenuous rehearsal, he perched alone in a secluded grove, his throat aching and his spirit low. His song seemed to mock him, echoing his fears of never emerging from the shadows of the enchanted woods. Overwhelmed, he wept into the night, contemplating silence over song. At that moment, the grove's silence was broken by a wise old owl. She overheard the nightingale sobbing and, moved by the depth of his emotion, asked, "What troubles you, little nightingale?" Through teary eyes, the nightingale shared his woes. "No matter how hard I try, I can't outshine the others. I'll always just be another voice lost in the crowd," he chirped, his voice quivering. The wise owl perched beside him, her gaze soft and understanding. "Song, my little nightingale, isn't merely about talent. It's about emotion. The stories we tell and the hearts we touch with our melodies. When you sing from your soul, you reach others in ways that mere skill cannot." "But I'm always compared to others," the nightingale sighed, his heart heavy. The wise owl drew herself up tall. "Comparison is the nature of observers. But remember, each bird's song is unique. Brimming with passion, your voice will resonate with those who hear it. It's not about being the best. It's about staying true to yourself." Comforted by these words, the nightingale realized his fear of comparison had made him forget the joy of singing. The woods were abuzz with anticipation when the time came for the midsummer concert. The little nightingale, taking his place under the moon's spotlight, felt a hush fall over the woods. Closing his eyes, he inhaled deeply and began his song. This time, it was unlike any before. He wasn't just performing, he was singing from the heart. As his final note lingered in the cool night air, the entire forest held its breath, only to erupt into cheers. The nightingale felt warmth spill inside him. he realized that despite how amazing it felt to be praised and admired, that wasn't what truly mattered. It was his love for music that did. And so, from that night on, he continued to enchant the forest and its visitors with songs as sweet as the morning dew. His own voice being the only one he compared himself with. The self-love crisis. In late 2020, a study was done in 21 countries to discover how people view themselves. Over 22,000 people aged 18 and over were interviewed. The study focused on self-love and looked at how people see themselves, how often they feel nervous or anxious, their confidence, their ability to bounce back, and what makes them feel good about themselves. They used the information from the study to create a global self-love index. This index gives people a score from 0 to 100, ranging from lots of self-doubt to complete self-love. The results showed that many people around the world are struggling with self-love. The average score on the self-love index was only 53 out of 100. About half the people scored on the lower side of the scale, feeling more self-doubt than self-love. 6 out of 10 people worldwide said they wish they respected themselves more. And 4 out of 10 sometimes felt they are not useful. More than half the people admitted that they often pretend to be happy to make others happy, even if they don't feel happy themselves, hiding their real feelings from those around them. The importance of self-love. There's an old Hindu proverb that says, "There is nothing noble about being superior to some other man. The true nobility is in being superior to your previous self." Loving yourself truly helps you realize your value, which is crucial to becoming more confident. When you have a lot of self-love, you don't depend on others to feel good about yourself. This lets you enter relationships feeling solid and confident, not just seeking approval from someone else. Self-love is about wholeheartedly accepting yourself just as you are. It involves being kind and gentle with yourself, just like you would with a close friend. This kind of love is not only about treating yourself well, like exercising regularly and getting plenty of sleep, but it also includes how you think and feel about yourself internally. When you love yourself, you generally view yourself in a positive way. This doesn't mean that you must always feel happy with yourself. That's not possible or realistic. We all have days when we feel down or are hard on ourselves. There might be times when I'm frustrated or upset with myself. Maybe I made a mistake or didn't meet my own expectations. Even during these moments, I still maintain a sense of love for myself. The best way to look at this is to compare it to how we love others. Take, for instance, how you might love a family member, like a child. You can love your child deeply, yet there might be times where you feel annoyed or let down by their actions. Perhaps they didn't do well at school or broke something. Even in these moments, your love for them doesn't waver. This love means you forgive them, try to understand why they acted the way they did, ensure their needs are met, and guide them to make better choices in the future. Loving yourself works in much the same way. If you can show others this level of understanding and compassion, you can show it to yourself. Self-love is an ongoing process. It's about being patient with yourself, understanding your emotions, recognizing your needs, and making decisions that benefit your well-being. It's a nurturing and forgiving love that acknowledges your flaws and imperfections. Doing so creates a supportive inner world that helps you thrive and grow, even when you face challenges or make mistakes. In the story at the beginning of the chapter, we see the process of learning to love ourselves. Even though you may compare yourself with others and doubt your own abilities, you can learn to accept and love your unique skills. The young Nightingale story teaches us that self-love isn't about being better than others or perfect. It's about recognizing and appreciating our unique qualities. Like the nightingale, we can start to shine when we learn to see and love what makes us different. On our journey to self-love, it is important that we learn to accept and value ourselves, because that's when we can reach our full potential. The 5 components of self-love. The road to fostering self-love is based on 5 components, each as important as the next. Self-compassion, self-awareness, self-care, self-acceptance, and healthy boundaries. Self-compassion. Self-compassion is about being kind to yourself, particularly when things don't go your way or you face challenging times. It means not being too hard on yourself or overly critical when you make a mistake or fail at something. Imagine how you treat a good friend having a hard time. That's the kind of understanding and care you should show yourself. Remember the friend's lens? When you practice self-compassion, you acknowledge that everyone makes mistakes and faces challenges. It's a normal part of being human. Instead of getting upset with yourself or feeling like you're not good enough, recognize that it's okay not to be perfect. You give yourself the comfort and encouragement needed to get through rough patches. Being self-compassionate also means you don't constantly judge yourself harshly. You understand that setbacks are opportunities to learn and grow, not just reasons to feel bad about yourself. You know to be your own supporter, giving yourself pep talks and positive reinforcement. This approach can change how you handle stress and challenges. High self-compassion makes you more likely to pick yourself up after a setback and try again. You'll find that you're more resilient and better able to cope with life's ups and downs. In everyday life, self-compassion can show up in small ways. It might be taking a break when you're feeling overwhelmed, speaking kindly to yourself when you make a mistake, or simply giving yourself permission to relax and do something enjoyable. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness, care, and understanding you would offer to someone you care about. Making hard stuff easy. The time travel challenge. I want you to spend 5 minutes thinking about a tough time or when you made a mistake. This challenge aims to help you be kinder to yourself, especially when you remember times you found hard or felt not good enough. By supporting your past self, you learn to be just as kind and understanding to yourself now. This task helps you connect past mistakes or hurts with what you know now, and shows you that everyone changes and gets better over time. Picture yourself traveling back in time as the person you are today and meeting your past self during that difficult period. What advice and comforting words would you give? How could you show support and understanding? Pause the audiobook now and write down these thoughts or say them out loud. Self-awareness. Self-awareness is about knowing and understanding your feelings, your needs and wants, and your strengths and weaknesses. It's like having a clear map of your emotions and thoughts. This understanding can be improved by doing things like meditation and journaling. When you are more self-aware, you better understand why you feel a certain way or react to things the way you do. It's like being a detective of your mind. You get to understand what makes you tick. This can help you make better choices in life because you know what's truly important to you and what isn't. Meditation is one way to boost self-awareness. When you meditate, you spend time quietly with your thoughts, which can help you notice patterns in your thinking or how certain thoughts make you feel. This can lead to a deeper understanding of yourself. Journaling is another excellent way to develop your self-awareness. When you write down your thoughts and feelings, it's easier to see them. You might notice things about yourself that you didn't realize before. Writing out your thoughts and feelings is a great way of reflecting on and learning from your experiences. By becoming more self-aware, you can better manage your emotions, understand your relationships, and make decisions that align with who you are. It's like having an inner guide who helps you navigate through life with more confidence and understanding. Making hard stuff easy. Hack your triggers. Choose a day this week to try out this challenge. During the day, watch for anything or anyone that annoys you or gets on your nerves. If something like this happens, make a quick note of it. You don't need to think about it too much at the time, but write it down so you can look at it later. Go through everything you've written down. Look at each thing that bothered you, what happened, and how you felt when it did. Spend some time thinking about what caused these feelings. Were they responses to things happening around you, reactions to people, or were they influenced by your thoughts and views? This challenge aims to help you become more aware of yourself. It's about understanding how what happens outside and inside your thoughts can affect how you feel. Ask yourself, what was the trigger? How did you respond? Why did it trigger you? How will you respond to it next time? Self-care. Self-care is purposefully doing things to look after your body, mind, and emotions. It's taking steps to make sure you're healthy and happy. This can be as simple as enjoying a relaxing bath, calling a friend for support, or ensuring you're getting enough sleep. Self-care means recognizing what you need to feel good and taking action to meet those needs. It's like giving yourself a helping hand to stay well. This could be exercising to keep your body strong, eating healthy foods, or finding time to do things you enjoy, like reading a book or walking. It also involves looking after your mental health. This might mean stepping away from stressful situations when needed, or talking about your feelings with friends, family, or a professional. It's about finding healthy ways to deal with stress, anxiety, or sadness. Taking care of your emotional well-being is also a big part of self-care. This could include practicing meditation or mindfulness, or just doing things that make you happy. It's about understanding your emotions and finding healthy ways to express and deal with them. It's easy to forget to look after yourself in a busy world. Still, self-care is essential for staying healthy and happy. It doesn't have to be complicated or take a lot of time. Even small acts of self-care, like taking a few deep breaths or having a cup of tea, can make a big difference. Remember, taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary for a balanced and fulfilling life. Making hard stuff easy. The perfect day challenge. Imagine having an entire day all to yourself, entirely dedicated to self-care, with no external demands or interruptions. It's a day for you to do whatever makes you feel good. Start by thinking about or writing down how you would spend this day. What activities would you include that make you feel most relaxed, rejuvenated, and genuinely happy? Consider the things that bring your life a sense of calm and joy. Would you start the day with a peaceful walk, indulge in a favorite hobby, or perhaps read a book you've wanted to? Consider how you would cater to your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. This might involve doing some exercise you enjoy, practicing relaxation techniques like meditation or yoga, or engaging in creative activities like painting or writing? Would you cook a healthy meal, take a long bath, or spend time in nature? Also, reflect on how you look after your emotional health. Would you journal your thoughts, listen to your favorite music, or spend some time reflecting? This exercise aims to help you identify the self-care activities that genuinely resonate with you. By imagining your perfect day, you gain insight into the practices most beneficial for your overall well-being. This can guide you in incorporating these activities into your routine, helping to ensure that you regularly take time for yourself and your needs. What I want you to do now is to grab a pen and paper and jot down the following things. And if you haven't got a pen or paper, just say them out loud. Plan your perfect day. How you'd start it. How you'd end it. What you would do for physical well-being. What you would do for mental well-being. What you would do for emotional well-being. What would be your guilty pleasure of the day? What is something you would get rid of? Self-acceptance. Self-acceptance means fully embracing every part of yourself, even those parts you might think of as flaws or imperfections. It's about understanding that nobody is perfect and accepting yourself just as you are. When you practice self-acceptance, you stop being so hard on yourself for not being perfect. Instead, you start to see your so-called flaws as another part of your uniqueness. It's like looking in the mirror and appreciating yourself for who you are instead of focusing on what you don't like. Self-acceptance isn't about giving up on trying to improve or grow. It's about acknowledging your current state and being okay with it. For example, you might want to get fitter or learn a new skill, and that's great, but at the same time you can accept and respect yourself as you are right now. Making mistakes and having weaknesses is a normal part of life. Everyone has things they're not so good at, and that's okay. It's about embracing your whole self, the good, the bad, and everything in between. Learning to accept yourself can have a significant impact on your overall well-being. It can make you feel more confident, reduce stress, and improve your mental health. When you're okay with who you are, you're more likely to be happier and more at peace with yourself. In everyday life, self-acceptance shows up when you stop comparing yourself to others, are kind to yourself, and don't let your inner critic be too harsh. It's about giving yourself the same kindness and understanding you'd give a friend. Making hard stuff easy. The mirror challenge. Find a mirror and stand in front of it. If you're driving right now, of course, look where you're going on the road and remember to do this later. I want you to spend 5 minutes just looking at your reflection. I want you to observe yourself without any judgment or negative thoughts. During this time, try to identify at least 3 things about yourself that you genuinely appreciate and feel proud of. This could be physical features you admire, personality traits you're proud of, achievements you've accomplished, or even challenges you've successfully overcome. Take a moment to acknowledge the significance of each. Say out loud why each one is a valuable and integral part of who you are. It could be your smile that you find welcoming, your sense of humor that brightens the day for others, or the resilience you show during a difficult time. The aim here is to notice these positive aspects and feel a sense of pride and gratitude for them. This exercise is designed to shift your focus from self-criticism to self-appreciation. By recognizing and voicing what you value in yourself, you build a more positive and loving relationship with yourself. Doing this challenge regularly can be a powerful tool in cultivating a more balanced and positive view of yourself. It encourages you to look at yourself with kindness and acceptance, a crucial step towards self-love and well-being. What I want you to do is to grab a pen and paper or say these out loud. How hard was this exercise on a scale from 1 to 10? How good do you feel about yourself on a scale from 1 to 10? On average, do you feel like you don't give yourself enough credit? What were the things you noticed in yourself? What I want you to do is repeat this exercise regularly and notice the difference. Healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries are about understanding and setting limits on what you find acceptable in how others treat you and what you're willing to put up with in different parts of your life. It's like drawing a line that marks what does and doesn't sit well with you. Setting these boundaries means knowing where you stand on things like your personal space, time, emotions, and values. For example, it could be telling someone you need some time alone, saying no to extra work when you're already too busy, or not allowing others to speak disrespectfully. Healthy boundaries help you maintain your well-being and respect. They are not about being selfish or rude. Instead, they're about taking care of yourself. It's essential to communicate your boundaries clearly to others. This helps people understand what you're comfortable with and how they can respect your needs. These boundaries can also change depending on the situation or your relationship with someone. For instance, what you share with a close friend might differ from what you share with a colleague. It's about knowing what feels right for you in different situations. Healthy boundaries are also about respecting other people's limits. Just like you have your boundaries, others have theirs too. Recognizing and respecting these limits helps build stronger, healthier relationships. Remember, it's okay to look after your needs and ask others to respect your boundaries. Making hard stuff easy, the boundaries challenge. In this task, I'd like you to think about and write down one crucial rule for each of these 3 areas: your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. We will call these your 3 non-negotiables. Physical boundary. Pick one rule you won't compromise on for your physical health. This could be deciding how much to work so you can rest enough, doing a certain amount of exercise each week, or choosing what to eat to keep your body healthy. Mental boundary. Choose a rule for your mental health that you'll stick to. This might be setting specific times for work and your personal life to stop yourself from getting too tired, limiting how much news or social media you look at if it makes you feel bad, or finding time every day for things that help clear your mind and lower your stress. Emotional boundary. Decide on a rule for looking after your emotional health. This might mean making clear rules about how others should treat you, having time to look after your feelings, or choosing to spend time with people and do things that are good for your emotional state. The goal of this challenge is to set and stick to these essential boundaries for your physical, mental, and emotional health. These non-negotiables give you a way to protect your overall well-being, which helps you make better choices and deal with what life throws at you. What I want you to do is to name the 3 non-negotiables you are going to stick to this week. The physical health boundary, the mental health boundary, the emotional health boundary. And at the end of the week, I want you to ask yourself this question: how well did you protect each of these boundaries on a scale from 1 to 10? The physical health boundary, the mental health boundary, the emotional health boundary. Making hard stuff easy. Prioritizing your self-care. The 6 pillars of self-care. Self-care encompasses a range of practices and habits across different areas of our lives, ensuring that we maintain not just physical health, but also emotional, mental, spiritual, social,